I am currently skimmerless, and I will remain so, as I am one strange coin off, 96 out of 97. Here, I'm just taking so much damage. Like, it's crazy that even with the Song of Flame damage reduction on, I'm taking this much damage. It's actually insane. Like, look how painful this is. Look how painful that drain is. Like, talk about a deadly modifier. Almost certainly not the intended way to have completed this Guardian rank objective. Spawning a Bleak Watcher generates energy, and of course the Cabal pods. Oh my god, everything's going wrong. All right, welcome back, Guardians. Last time I ranked up from Guardian rank 5 to Guardian rank 6, and most of that included me not doing any of the tasks that were even related to ranking up. This time it is a bit different. However, I mean, it's quite a lot different since I actually have tasks to complete. Random voice crack there. We're gonna move past that. All right, the first section of Guardian rank 7 has to deal with the final shape, and that includes tasks that I've already completed. We have to complete the final shape campaign. Wow, insane. Bender rank ups, insane. Paleheart Pathfinder, insane. So it seems to me that this section, I'm pretty sure, because I looked at the Guardian ranks before final shape came out. It seems like this section updates with every new DLC. So whenever the new Frontiers expansion, whatever comes out, Apollo, whatever they're calling it, whenever that comes out, I assume this will also update. But it's kind of weird that you have the final DLC as a part of the Guardian ranks. Like, why not just adjust this to be like, do the Beyond Light campaign or do the Shadowkeep campaign and move the final shape campaign stuff like, you know, towards like 10, 11. Kind of weird. I mean, it's not like the most essential thing, but you are basically like, if you don't own the DLC, you basically can't get above Guardian rank 6, which is kind of awkward. I have no idea why they would send some this way. Our seasonal journey, the next section also has to do with the seasonal artifact. So it seems like if you don't own the season, or technically episode in this case, you also can't progress, which is also kind of weird, but they are highlighted blue. So I don't know if that's just indicative of them changing over time, or if that only applies if you have, you know, the episode bot. I have no idea why these are specifically blue and not, you know, gray like the other ones. If the final shape one was supposed to change, wouldn't that also be highlighted? I have no idea what's up with them being blue, but most of these tasks are already completed, you know, just through casual gameplay. Actually, I was gonna say, I don't have Icebreaker, the exotic sniper rifle Icebreaker, but this task is already completed for me, so I'll take it. I have no idea why this is auto-completed, but I'm gonna assume there is some sort of bug that wasn't tracking kills or something, and that's why it's auto-completed. This would be incredibly annoying for me to do because I would have to get Icebreaker, which I think means completion of the new dungeon, Vesper Host, which I've not done, so that would have been incredibly annoying to have obtained. This would have made getting this rank infinitely harder. So maybe that's why they decided to just give that out for free, because it's like, all right, well, you have to complete the new dungeon. Oh boy. And I mean, I suppose, like, technically I'm going into all the dungeons like solo blind. So for me, it would be significantly worse of a task than, like, you know, if you like LFG'd it or just did it with a bunch of friends or whatever. Here we have the Nightfall section, and finally, I have some tasks that I need to complete. So the first one is complete Nightfalls while using a subclass that matches the current Surge. Probably not the most difficult to do, as Surges boost the damage you deal with the damage type. So honestly, if anything, this is gonna make Nightfalls a little bit easier, although the getaway build is pretty good. The next task is to complete Nightfalls and earn Platinum rewards, and that just requires us to defeat all champions within the Nightfall to earn Platinum rewards. I've, you know, just played some Nightfalls casually, and we just end up killing all the champions because they are enemies. And honestly, I don't know how much I've even contributed to those, but that task is done. And honestly, out of all things, you know, considered, clearing 2 Nightfalls with all champions defeated is pretty basic. The final task in the Nightfall category is to defeat Bane empowered combatants. So I have no idea what Banes are. Well, the game actually hopefully, you know, explains to me what Banes are, but I had no idea how to encounter these Bane empowered combatants since I've never seen them. And apparently they only exist in Nightfalls that are expert level and above. I have no idea why they aren't just like in regular level Nightfalls. Like, oh no, a regular Nightfall is 10% more difficult. Oh no. I will see later on, like, I have trouble even finding any Bane empowered combatants. The Bane modifiers are pretty cool. I will give them that. And that's kind of why I wish they were in more content. They should just add Bane buffs to everywhere. Like, I don't know why this is reserved for like high level content when, like, even in low level content, an enemy is slightly more special. I feel like that's probably a good thing. All right, our final section now we have to complete has to deal with champions. And this is just to make sure that we know how to deal with champions. And specifically, it doesn't actually even tell us to defeat those specific champions. It just requires us to stun them. So technically, we can stun the same champions over and over again, which is something I will definitely utilize in order really speed up this process. I do find that it's less so about using the correct weapon because only certain weapons have intrinsic champion dealing abilities, and the artifact this season for the weapons to deal with specific champions are honestly pretty bad. You know, I primarily use a bow, so it's like, it's kind of my fault, but it's not really that bad, especially considering like how powerful, you know, some of these weapons are. It's like, oh, okay, the Verglas curve can literally, you know, deal with an overload and an unstoppable by itself just by generating a crystal, right? All in all, that's these are only tasks I have to complete, and honestly, they're pretty simple. I think the most difficult one is actually going to be the either Bane empowered commands, because that's going to require us to go up in difficulty in Nightfall, and I don't have max level, or my gear is not, you know, up to snuff, so that's going to be a little bit challenging on the combat. And the other is going to be the Final Shape co-op mission, which is going to be, it's just going to be time consuming. It's not going to be that annoying, but honestly, those activities are not too bad. It's just, you know, mechanically, I wish there was more mechanics to the co-op side rather than just what is done to it, but, you know, I'll go over it. So I was filming this at like midnight EST, but I still managed to find a group willing to do the Iconoclasm mission, the co-op Iconoclasm mission, you know, just there in the Fireteam Finder. So I literally waited like 30 seconds max. I didn't, and the waiting is me going through the menus. Like this black loading screen is probably the most I had to wait for, you know, this activity, which is pretty good, to be honest. I mean, if you want my detailed commentary on this mission, I have a like 2-hour video on it, so go watch that. Instead, I'm going to cover, you know, the co-op mechanic, which just has to deal with these berserkers. These berserkers just require 2 players to attack it on both its front and back in the special crit spot. And after that, you have the ability to now shoot the little darkness resonance orb things, and those just require to be shot at around the same time. And here they're being indicated to be shot at by an emote, so that takes care of that. And that's literally the only co-op mechanic, and it's repeated throughout the mission. And honestly, I think it's a cool idea, and it's cool being able to matchmake and play like, you know, this campaign mission with just random people. Honestly, that's pretty nice because these missions are pretty good, but it's just like mechanically, really, is that it? Is that it? In this closed out section in the second encounter, the duties of the mechanics are actually split up, so this is kind of more of what I like to see. So here I have the glyph touch buff, which means I am actually barred from access to the lower floors. Instead, the other 2 teammates who do not have the buff are able to go down and, you know, kill the enemies in order to see the glyphs. In the main mission, you have to do all of this, you know, by yourself. It's a bit harder. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it's not really that much harder. I mean, it's probably easier in co-op mode because, you know, you have that many more people to do this, and it's like, I think the difficulty is not really tuned up. I'm pretty sure this is just like regular legend difficulty. Yeah, that's pretty much it that is changed. Same thing for the ogre. I ended up getting glyph touch again, so I'm unable to travel into the zone of darkness. Instead, I just have to, you know, stay in this main zone and clear the ads, which is pretty whatever, because these thralls have no HP. I mean, just reload farming, you know, kills for my Verglas curve, you know, easy, I guess. The mechanic also extends a little bit more because only a certain player can pick up the shield if they have the required buff, while, you know, in the main campaign, if you're doing this solo, or I assume if you're doing a fire team, can all, you know, pick it up, because maybe the buff is just randomly distributed if you're in a fire team. I have no idea how that would work. It does require multiple people to at least be semi-aware of, you know, what buffs they have and what role they need to play. I mean, mechanically, it's all the same as the campaign, which is not really a problem. It's just, you know, you need to see the different roles being divided up or forcibly divided up. I do wish they added, you know, something a little bit more, but I mean, this is fine, I guess. All right, so we're about to face the Witness, and this is actually our 3rd run through because, you know, I'm just gonna spare you the failures of the first 2 attempts. Honestly, it was more like the failure of the first attempt. The second failure was kind of my fault because I was just, you know, completely not aware. I mean, technically it could have been salvaged, but I think the bribe tokens were already used, so that was a little bit unfortunate. And the section I died in was the win section where it auto kills you just because I didn't have the buff on. It's like, all right, my bad. I was trolling. 3rd time is the charm, you know. It also took us a little while to get a bit coordinated and figure out where we needed to shoot the things. It also takes us a little bit to do the mechanic, but the only actual mechanic is, you know, the berserkers from the first encounter and the second encounter and the third encounter. I mean, they've just all made their way here. Actually, the berserker was not in the ogre encounter, but it was there in the first 2 encounters, and the same mechanic is just there. Berserker in, and then you just have to coordinate the timing of you shooting the synergized shots at the little target things. But yeah, the actual combat section is honestly the easiest part because, you know, just the addition of multiple more fire team members just, you know, smooths out the process. You don't really have to deal with everything. It's like, all right, It's just much easier. You have 2 other people to help with ads. You have two other people to help with damage. So even if it is scaled up, it's probably not scaled up enough. All right, but with that out of the way, we've gone ahead and completed the mission. And here we're just being chased out by, actually, I'm pretty sure that's the same Kel that we have to fight in Salvation's Edge. Tanix, I'm pretty sure. So pretty neat. All right, go ahead and mark that down. So all that we have left is, for me to complete Nightfalls while using a Surge and to stun a bunch of champions. All right, before continuing on, I had to stop by Zur because I finally had the chance to do so. He has a very important item for me in his multivarious strange offers collection, and that is the Zerf board. I am currently skimmerless, and I will remain so as I am 1 strange coin off 96 out of 97. You can't make this up. I'm 1 strange coin off. You hate to see it. Pain. So after learning that Bane spawn in extra level difficulty Nightfalls or higher, I loaded into 1 solo because I was not going to bother to I guess I could have joined in LFG, but because I had to specifically farm Bane kills, I was like, oh man, that Thrasher just absolutely destroyed me there. I was not expecting that. I forgot things can damage me. There you go. Combatant power 2030. That's like what, 19 higher than my current power, so I'm minus 19 deficit. Pretty sure that's actually higher than, contest mode, which was minus 15 or something. So, pretty rough. The respawn timer is absolutely brutal. But, now that I'm a little bit more awake and aware that, maybe I should not just tank all the damage like you can in regular mode or regular Nightfall difficulty, I should get to move on. And there you can see the Bane in effect. The buff is pretty obvious and it's even attached to their name. And here you see that this one specifically has an Arc Bane. I'm not exactly quite too sure what it does initially, but whenever I peek against the Bane, some sort of line forms, and I think that we're just taking continuous arc damage while we're in line of sight of the enemy, which is pretty annoying because it's constantly zapping our shields, constantly dealing damage. But the benefit is that as long as we are far enough, we can just go ahead and avoid the negative effects. Boom, and take care of the Banes right there. No problem. Yeah, so this barrier Hobgoblin right here is because I noticed that, in the little thing it said that we're going to have barriers on unstops. So I was like, all right, well, I need to get my stuns on. So this is perfect. Boom, boom, got some more barrier stuns. Honestly, in reality, I should just keep on farming this barrier Hobgoblin, but it doesn't really become a problem in, as I'll soon figure out, because as I continue clearing through the rest of the strike, I don't really encounter any more Banes. Like here I am progressing. I'm like 5 minutes in, gonna approach 6 minutes pretty soon. And I'm still not seeing any more Banes. So at this point in time, because killing Banes doesn't require the completion of the Nightfall, I'm like, well, am I just wasting I have no idea what that name was. Great job, great blue. It's okay, blue punch, I guess. But at this point, I'm like, am I just wasting my time killing these ads for no reason when I have no idea when another Bane will spawn? So, after wasting some time, I'm like, bro, this Centurion is just stuck. Very cool, very cool. I think I died to Cyan, yeah. So after getting absolutely blasted by the Cyan, I'm like, should I really be wasting my time? And I just go ahead and return to orbit, and I just go back to the Vanguard's ops playlist, switch the difficulty over to expert, and relaunch the mission. So this is how we're gonna farm us some Banes. Too easy. You will see this Bane in particular is shields. I have no idea what exactly that means. I wish there was like some sort of menu that, explained what the Banes are or what they did. I guess you could Google them, but I was there the menu in the game that, further explained Banes even existing in the game. I had no idea they were even in the game or a feature that was implemented. They were fairly new, but I wish there was something that indicated that they existed. And I wish I could at least know what shields the Bane did. I can assume that, it's just giving shields to its fellow buddies, which is pretty annoying. But I wish, I had the actual knowledge and I didn't just have to make an educated guess. But here I'm able to just farm this Hobgoblin, especially, since I'm going to be repeating this mission, farming these barrier stuns is pretty easy, especially with the Wish Ender. There you go. I already got that knocked down. So while on the topic of Banes, the Drain Void Bane probably has to be the absolute worst, because if I make any sort of line of sight with the stupid enemy, my health literally gets zapped down by a crazy amount. Because I think there's actually 2 Drain Devour Banes on these Cabals, because look at the second I peek out, look how much damage I'm instantly taking. Like, that is crazy. So I literally have to be in cover and I literally have to just pre-fire. So like, even when I'm behind cover, you know, I have to be very careful. And this was incredibly annoying, but luckily it's not too bad. It's just very annoying to have to play like a beta, absolutely just hiding like look at this play style. I mean, Prismatic, first of all, crazy that, you know, I can just shoot out nades like this, but man, look how painful this is. Look how painful that drain is. Like, talk about a deadly modifier. Oh my God, and that, like, literally 2 drains, and it's so over. It's actually so over. Well, those Banes combined were especially deadly. I mean, that's just one alone would be a nuisance, but double Devourers, terrifying. But that at least takes care of our Bane problem. Not, almost certainly not the intended way to have completed this Guardian rank objective, but we're here for inefficient time, you know? We're trying to speedrun through all this stuff because who cares? All right, so I got my barrier stun in with that Nighfall, so all I have left is unstoppable champions and overloads. So unstoppable champions do spawn into Nighfall. However, as I found out by repeating the intro mission of Nighfall over and over again, is only a barrier champion spawns, and it takes a lot longer for unstoppable champions to spawn in as they are much further down in the encounter chain. I mean, I guess technically I could go into Nighfall and, you know, just farm them there, but I didn't really want to waste the time in a Nighfall. Instead, I tried to figure out the other fastest way of encountering unstoppable and overload champions. In order to do this, I went ahead and entered the K1 Revolution Lost Sector on the moon, since it is the legendary Lost Sector of this rotation / week. I'm pretty sure that's what it's based on every week. New Lost Sector goes legend. Boom, crazy. But I'm here, and, you know, there was, you know, like I said, the barrier champions if I needed to farm those, which I did not. But here I am finding out that, you know, the unstoppable champions are a little bit further in this encounter as well. So, you know, it's taking me a little bit of time since I'm playing a little bit safe. It's only when I push up into these specific areas that I realize that the unstoppable champions are specifically unstoppable ogres, which is very not good for my survivability, especially since I ended up triggering 2 of the zones at the same time. I mean, my Bleak Watcher did end up stunning the top ogre, so that did count as a stun. So we only have to stun them 2 more times, which honestly is probably not going to be too much of a problem. Here I go Transcendence, and I literally lob the nade halfway across the map. Boom. You know, it's going to shatter as I break it with my bow, like there. Boom. Stun. Too easy. It's actually just too easy. All right, and I get my second stun as I pop down a Bleak Watchers, aggro the ogre, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and dip back into cover. Hopefully my Bleak Watcher will go ahead and stun the ogre. Boom, I can just shatter it, and there we go. Unstoppable champions have been stunned. Honestly, it's pretty crazy how good Bleak Watchers is at, you know, champion capabilities, because, you know, you can slow them, you can shatter unstoppables. It's pretty good. And to be honest, that those features are built into the Verglass curve just by its nature of being able to produce a crystal, which is also pretty insane. I do end up failing the Lost Sector because I just did not register in my mind that the final boss is going to be an ogre. Here I'm just taking so much damage. Like, it's crazy that even with the Song of Flame damage reduction on, I'm taking this much damage. It's actually insane. Like, Frieza from Grasp of Avarice was nowhere near this deadly. Although I am severely under power level. I come pretty close. I could have just played it a little bit further away, and I probably would have been able to complete the Lost Sector, but I died, so RIP. And just like that, we've gone ahead and completed the stun unstoppable champions. All that is left in this section for our champions is to stun some overload ogres, and then I just have to complete some Nightfalls with using the bonus surge, which is super freeload compared to stunning champions. I decided to get my overload stuns done in Kel's Fall expert mode because that was the most convenient place I saw that overloads the stun. So that's where I'm headed. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to figure out where those overloads are, and hopefully they aren't like halfway deep in the encounter, because that's going to be annoying. While I'm here in the expert mode section, I know that I have to destroy some invisible anchors, and here you can actually just kind of barely make them out while I say Bozo, but you can make out their silhouette, but you aren't able to interact with them until you switch to the Slayer's Fang. And here with the Slayer's Fang, as soon as I ADS, it becomes visible, and I can just go in and shoot it to destroy it. All right, after taking care of all the anchors in the mirror gallery, I go ahead and make my way to the fighting arena. Or the fighting pit specifically. I go ahead and drop a Bleak Watchers just because, you know, odds are starting to spawn. And soon enough, champions start spawning in. And luckily for me, these are the overload champions that I need to stun. So as long as I can go ahead and stun these overload champions, which I've already gone ahead and stunned one, so I only need to stun 2 more of them, or I need to stun a champion twice, or the same champion twice. But you know, I'm taking so much damage. Like these enemies at combined power 2030 when I'm only at like 2011 is actually tragic. I'm taking so much damage. I'm barely dealing damage and I'm taking so much damage. It's pretty tough out here, but luckily I only need to stun overloads 2 more times. And since, you know, all I need to do is actually stun them, I can just sit behind, you know, this piece of cover and just stun them with my Bleak Watchers pretty free low. I don't even end up taking it out because I'm in an awkward position. I do try to complete the rest of the mission, but I feel like because I'm just slightly under power level, everything is just slightly that much more difficult and more annoying. And to be honest, while I probably could just brute force my way through, because, you know, I already got to one of the pin forces, and after that, you know, after I kill both of them, I just have to then deal with, you know, the boss, which is probably also gonna be pretty annoying. But since I got my stuns done with the overload, it's like, I will save my Hell's Fall completion for a little bit later of a time, you know, probably not too far off. But with that, I can go ahead and claim my overload champion stunned. Or not claim it, just kidding. Like I was saying, I can go ahead and claim my overload champion stunned, and that only leaves me to complete Nightfalls while matching the current surge, which is pretty easy. For the Arcadian Valley, we specifically have Stasis Surge and Void Surge. I've been all over Stasis, all over the Bleak Watcher, so I decided to shift it up and, you know, switch to a Void build. Here I'm just using the Controverse Hold. I mean, this isn't going to be a build video because I don't really have a specific build. I literally just, you know, swap to the Void subclass and hot swab my gauntlets because that's the most convenient option, because most of my armor is, you know, set around the Getaway Artist. So since that was also a pair of gloves, I can just go ahead and switch out my gloves. Barrier Hobgoblin proving to be a little bit annoying because one of the aspects does allow me to stun barriers, but I'm pretty sure I don't have that enabled. So I'm just wasting time shooting at the Barrier Hobgoblin for no apparent reason. I'm definitely not using the build optimally. I mean, here I did manage to at least get my grenade into a group of enemies. Here I am also using the blink jump because, you know, if I'm going to be on Void Warlock, why not test out and have fun with the blink jumps. It's not like I'm trying to do any jumping puzzles in this. Actually, I think this is technically a battleground, but we'll go ahead and call it a strike anyways. But like I was saying, I think it just might be like Getaway and Prismatic. The loop is so simple because spawning a Bleak Watcher generates energy, and of course the Cabal pods. Oh my god, everything's going wrong. No, I just knocked down my water bottle, but that's the impact that a Cabal pod will have on you. Absolutely tilting, you know. But yeah, while the Vortex Nade with the Controverse I'm using is pretty strong in damage, I mean, this is only a Nightfall, so how well is it really? But the gameplay loop of the Arc Soul and the Bleak Watcher, those just regenerating grenade energy constantly is just too strong. But, you know, since those are the only ways I have to generate grenade energy, it's like, it's pretty slow compared to Getaway Prismatic, you know? Or I'm sure you don't need to see me repeat the same strike over and over again, this time on Void. But with that, you know, after doing that, I can go ahead and complete that objective. And with that, we have our rank up, the 7 available, which requires us to head to the tower. All right, here it is, the Ironwood Tree, Monument to Fellowship. Advanced Guardian rank, boom. Too easy. Guardian rank Elite, 7. Big upgrade, dude, crazy. We're insane. And to cap it off, when I return to Xur, I go ahead and look at his offerings for a second time. And guess what? I managed to acquire 2 strange tokens. Yes, perfect. I am no longer skimmerless. Let's go. Big ups today. Big ups. Making tons of progress. Insane. We're just that good. All right, well, that was the end of that. We are now at rank 7. Next time we're going to be headed to rank 8. Make sure you like and subscribe just in case you haven't done so. Good night.